This video is not about the latest nutrition influencer to abandon carnivore, or even how many people are ditching it, or if it's enough to even constitute a trend. If you're in this space, you've seen all of that done to death. This video is about the one requirement that will determine if an individual will even try carnivore, or for those who do start it, will continue with it. It's such a simple concept, yet I don't hear anyone talking about it until now. So let's get into it right here on Black Box Warning.
I've got a lot to say, can't hold it in this time. Got no filter, I got no filter. No filter, I got no filter. No filter, I got no filter. No filter, I got no filter.
When you hear about people leaving carnivore, the reasons vary wildly. You hear complaints about stalled weight loss, scary lab results, or the claim that it's just simply unsustainable. Now, let's be honest about the most visible accounts, the influencers. A lot of that is just for the algorithm. In the current attention economy, drama pays the bills, and pivoting away from the diet gets clicks. But for many others, I believe there's something else missing, a missing component that practically guarantees failure. This isn't talked about often because, frankly, it's not something people want to hear. There's a lot of itchy ears out there, those who just want to be comforted, who will protest if the message hits too close to home. But in my opinion, the failure is caused by one critical change that they never made, an adjustment that is absolutely required to make this work long term. What I'm talking about here is a paradigm shift. The secret weapon is not devising the perfect macro combo. It's not your electrolyte ratio or the decision to do OMAD or what fasting schedule to go with. This is a prerequisite to all of that. It is something way bigger. It is the act of adopting the psychology of a carnivore. If you don't initiate this specific shift in your mind, nothing you do will work very well long term. You can eat all the ribeyes that you want, but if you don't fix the software running in your brain, the hardware, your body, will eventually crash. And I urge you to listen to what I have to say about this, because I will bet you Vegas money that if you are really honest with yourself, you have at least some of these issues. Most of us do. I say this as someone who has found great success on this diet. I cured a pile of medical conditions, stopped all of my medications, including a narcotic that I took for 17 freaking years. Today, we're going way deeper than just the food. We are going to deconstruct the brainwashing that you didn't even know that you were suffering from, and identify the programming that plagues you even after you go carnivore. Let's get real for a second. Most of us, we don't even know what hunger is anymore. We have completely lost the ability to distinguish between I require fuel and I want to be entertained. I catch myself doing this more often than I would like to admit. All the time, pre-carnivore diet, and some of the time now. Picture this, it's the end of the day. And I'm mostly OMAD, which is one meal a day. And I eat in the evening when I get off of work. After the workday ends, I go home and I find that I'm not actually hungry. I know this for a fact. My body has plenty of energy, but I know I have these beautiful prime New York strips sitting in the fridge. Oh. The other me shows up, that inner negotiator, starts whispering, "Hey, you don't want to have to freeze those, do you? Fresh is always better. You worked hard today. You deserve it." And then the trap snaps shut. All it takes is the thought of pairing that steak dripping in butter with the comfort of my favorite show. And let me digress here for a second. Finding a show that actually is worth watching nowadays is a struggle, given the absolute garbage coming out of Hollywood these days. But when you finally do find a gem, something like, Fallout or A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, man, that combo feels like the ultimate entertainment. But in reality, this scenario is terrible. It creates a powerful association in your brain, a feedback loop that rewards you for all the wrong reasons. It provides a massive dopamine spike that trains you to treat food as a prize rather than fuel. And yes, carnivores do this too. We like to think that we are immune because we aren't eating Doritos. But if you are eating a pound of beef, not because you need the energy, but because you need the feeling of eating, you're still trapped. You're just using food as a drug. It's just a cleaner drug that's super nutrient dense, but the behavior, the rationale for your choices are still a problem. This particular weed has the deepest roots. Other bad habits like wolfing down your food or eating too much in one sitting are easier to address. But eating when you're not hungry, that isn't nature. That's your brain hijacking your biology for entertainment purposes. Now, before the comments section explodes, I want to be clear. I'm not talking about calories. I don't really believe in those. The idea that you can burn a piece of food in a bomb calorimeter and measure the heat and apply that to the complex orchestra of human metabolism is laughable. It is pure mythology and a masterclass in marketing by food companies to make you think that 100 calories of cookies equals 100 calories of steak. It's nonsense. However, and this is a big however, if you cram a bunch of food down your pie hole, stuffing yourself way beyond what your body can utilize or needs, you will likely get fat, no matter what the food is. Or at a minimum, you will overeat too much fat in particular, and you'll end up with what I call leaky butt syndrome. Not pleasant. Can't recommend. I know all of this can happen because I experienced it myself on Carnivore. And there is a faction of this community that claims eat as much as you want. You can't gain weight on fatty meat. In my experience, that's just not true. Because, well, duh. I mean, I suspect most women who are over 40 understand this already. Now, look, we are our own little universes, as I always say. And some people have the opposite problem, and they can't keep the weight on. But a lot of us who came to carnivore to heal the obesity problem or metabolic damage from severe food addictions, well, we need to pay attention to this sort of thing. When I overeat on carnivore, and I mean anytime I solely eat for entertainment purposes, I feel terrible. That signal is telling me that I am doing harm. Period. To be clear, carnivore helps tremendously with the whole overeating phenomenon that I experienced in my past. But why is it still so hard at times? Why do we treat food as entertainment? Why do we struggle to listen to our bodies? The answer is simple and awful. It's because you have been brainwashed. And I don't use that word lightly, and I mean it. Most of us were raised on processed garbage. We were fed toxic sludge and told that it was heart healthy. And think about the authorities that we trusted, the medical community, who said everything's okay in moderation. How did that work out? The whole moderation thing didn't end very well, did it? When you're dealing with something that's poison, you don't use moderation, you use obliteration. You eliminate it completely. But they can never tell us that. And why? Well, look at the USDA. They are the gatekeepers of our health guidelines, but they're also the cheerleaders for the agricultural industry. How can you regulate the very industry that you are paid to promote? Explain that one. The cognitive dissonance that we lived in was huge. We told ourselves, well, if this stuff was so bad for us, then the government would ban it. They wouldn't do anything that would harm us, right? They would tell us. We have been sheep. We grazed on garbage while they kept us sick and addicted to cheap dopamine so that we wouldn't ask any questions. Going carnivore is the ultimate red pill. It's being unplugged from the matrix, but it's not a clean break. You've still got that data port in the back of your skull just waiting to be jacked back in. And it was comfy and warm there and nice, right? You remember. You know what I'm talking about. So what is the fix? What is the paradigm shift that I'm talking about? Well, I think you have to embrace your own biology. We are actually built for feast and famine. Our ancestors did not have a refrigerator. They ate and then they didn't eat, sometimes for days. We have to kill the urge to constantly top off the gas tank. We've got to learn to sit with the feeling of an empty stomach and realize that it's not an emergency. It's actually clarity. Now, how do I deal with that? Well, the best way that I have found to avoid this is to replace completely the food reward. If you want that dopamine, don't go to the fridge. You need a replacement that doesn't cause harm. Go for a walk, lift some weights, call a friend, read a book. Now, this strategy won't always work. You will likely slip up at some point. After all, we're only human. I view this as a struggle that I'm going to get better at over time, not something that I can rewrite overnight. Now, I want to make it clear, I am not handing out black pills here, honestly. My experience on carnivore has changed my life in ways that I could have never imagined, and I have no plans of ever giving that up. I feel better now than I did in my 20s. In fact, sometimes I start to fear that I'm just going to wake up miserable again and realize that it was all just a dream. But beyond the physical benefits, going carnivore exposed just how toxic my relationship with food really was. It also revealed the extent of lasting damage that was inflicted on me by the standard American diet culture that I was raised in. I believe the carnivore community needs to start having a real conversation about these psychological effects, because some of these issues remain a problem for many, even after adopting a carnivore lifestyle. We need to confront the results of using food for entertainment for decades. Some of us are afflicted more than others. In my case, for example, I was trapped in that cycle for over 50 years. Half a freaking century. The bottom line from all of this, if you want to succeed on this diet, you have to stop looking at it like a diet, first of all. You have to look at it as a reclamation of your mind. Stop eating when you aren't hungry. Stop trusting the people who poisoned you in the first place. And start trusting the signals that your body is screaming at you if you would only get quiet enough to listen. I want to know in the comments, do you struggle with any of this stuff I'm talking about? Do you have to beat off the other me that's in there trying to talk you into stuff? Tell me about whatever mental games you have to go through below, because I am very interested, and I think this subject is so important for us to discuss. So I will appreciate all of your feedback, as always. Thank you so much for watching. And if you like this video, if you could hit the like button, I would really appreciate it. And if you want to, you could subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on future content. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.